And now, get ready, folks. It's time for Banter with Bob Sherwood and Dan Snell. Banter. And now, here's Bob and Dan.
Okay, so here we are again at Sunday morning, and of course, it is a wonderful, wonderful day. And we approach today with great anticipation because we all know today is football day in America. And most people will be watching football from 2 o'clock till probably 8 o'clock tonight. Millions and millions of people will be watching football, probably even
Huge audience, as President Trump would say, huge.
Trump. But he'll probably be watching it in some Las Vegas suite or something where he's been all weekend. Not gambling, I guess, but I mean, I think it must be cool, right? He gets in Air Force One, flies to LA, and obviously first class comfort, right, with his wife and an entourage, gets off, tours around, has a meeting, flies over to Las Vegas, and then his only problem is he says, I wonder where I'm going to go next. Maybe I'll go up to Idaho or fly over to China for a few days. He's got the world at his fingertips.
He is certainly enjoying and very active, which I think Americans like. This week, his first week in office. Gosh, think about it. It was just, we haven't even been set. This is the 7th day. Tomorrow will be the 8th day, but I mean, tomorrow will be 1 week. But look at all the things. He's done a lot of things, a lot of good. It's kind of like whitewater rafting. Like we're on the Trump River. Everything looks beautiful, and we're rafting along on the Trump River. And then there has been a few whitewater rapids in the rocks, and some people feel like they've been, thrown out of the raft. But that's what Donald Trump has always been.
Who has been thrown out of the raft?
Well, I think if you're a law enforcement officer in America, I think you have to wonder, does he still stand and back the blue as much as he always verbalizes it?
Well, did he say anything to indicate that he didn't back the blue?
He signed he released all of in entirety anyone from the J6 events.
So what? That's a DOJ issue, not a law enforcement issue.
If you're a police officer and you saw, Bob, I mean, this is just as clear as possible. When you see that a fellow law enforcement officer is being attacked, beaten, sprayed with bear spray, and you've seen officers, 140 officers injured in the event, that has a personal effect. That has a personal touch to the hearts of law enforcement. So I imagine they're disappointed.
I have not read any report from any law enforcement order that they're against releasing those prisoners. That the Democrats are.
Well, no, you're wrong. Okay, banter time. Banter time.
Dan,
the Fraternal Order of Police.
Listen to me. I never said there wasn't any.
That's exactly what you just said, pal.
That I never saw any. I never saw any.
Well, then you need to research that more before you try to challenge it.
Now you can go ahead and tell me what you saw.
The Fraternal Order of Police, the largest national association in the United States, came out and said, hey, we don't think that's right. The International Association of Chiefs of Police came out and said, we don't think that's right. Now, do all the J6ers, some of the people had crimes that probably could have been misdemeanors, although the violence that day to me was a riot. I never have called it an insurrection, but it was a riot, and damage was done to our United States Capitol. And people did things because of emotion. That's what happens. We got to keep this away, and it's up to the President of the United States to have an impact on that. We can't always let emotion drive people's thinking. And that day, emotion got the best of people, and people did things that they might not normally do. But a police officer died. Many were injured. 140 were injured. And if I'm a police officer, and I used to work, and I've spoken to police officers, I think that they're discouraged by that, because you can't say, I'm for law enforcement, I back the blue.
Just so we're clear, of course, he always has backed the blue, but just so we're clear, your basis is that you read a report from this fraternal order of police that said they didn't like what he did. Is that what you're saying?
Based on multiple sources, pardoning all in entirety of the people
Right.
that were involved in J6, in my opinion, was
Yeah.
not correct.
Okay, so that's it. So that's your main issue for the week. Is that
No,
what
no.
else?
I
What
think
else?
Donald Trump did a lot of great things this week in a lot
What
of
did he
his
do? What did he
executive
do?
orders. I think declaring things that have to do with the border, sending troops to the border, declaring what he's going to do with maybe revamping FEMA. I don't necessarily agree with turning it all over to the states because I think that what he's doing then is taking any pressure off Washington, D.C. That's just my opinion because it's tough to manage nationally leadership when you don't have some input of leadership and resources. I think that a lot of his executive orders were good. I think that people like Kristi Noem, outstanding. I think better than anything, the Marco Rubio being Secretary of the State's already got going, as you talked about the other day. So there's a lot of good positive things. Again, whitewater rafting with Donald Trump, you're going to run into some rocks. And I think that law enforcement, and I think that anyone who's ever been an elected official, a governor, a mayor, somewhat police chief, when they see how Donald Trump responded in California or in North Carolina, I think they go, what we're seeing here is Donald Trump doing what he's good at. He's a master at shaping the message and the narrative. But his inexperience is glaring, especially yesterday in California. His inexperience just for the
Explain
people
that
in
to
the
me.
audience, they loved it.
Explain what was it? You said inexperience caused him to do something. Inexperience.
Inexperience in a press conference yesterday. First, he landed in California. Well, first he went to North Carolina, and then he, bash. I'm great. FEMA and Biden. You got to blame
Right.
Biden. He should be done with that. What are we going to do to fix a solution in North Carolina? Is what he's focused on. Then he flew to California. Right. The governor met him. Who, keep in mind, he has called this man, a fellow elected leader, new scum, which is inappropriate. You don't call people, mock their name. That's just, you learn that in kindergarten. Don't make fun of somebody's name. So they meet. They had a pretty good meeting, it appeared. Then he went and met with groups. Now, these groups clearly, clearly these groups were hand selected by Trump's staff. Okay, so they go and meet with these people. The people are upset. Donald Trump is very good at playing to the emotions of people. He goes to the press conference with Mayor Bass. I don't agree with everything in Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass and I are completely different. I'm a Republican. She's a Democrat. But she's talking about all the things that Los Angeles is trying to do, given the hundreds of thousands of acres and thousands of homes that have been destroyed. And at one point, somebody on her staff, let me finish, I'm about done here. Somebody on her staff said, it could take up to 18 months to fully get this all cleaned up. Well, when you have devastation like that, people don't want to hear that first because it's their home, the place they call home. But it's not necessarily unrealistic if you look at what's taking place in Florida and hurricanes. But my point is, they had the press conference. I'm getting to it here, Bob. Calm down, buddy. So the mayor's going, hey, I'm bringing all my departments together so you don't have to go to multiple departments. We're going to have a solution. We're working on it. And she said, somebody shouted out, 18 months too long. She said, I agree. It's not going to be that. We don't know for sure. Because how can you say for sure? She said 6 months. And then Donald Trump interrupts her. 6 months is too long. And then she said something about in the next week, we're going to do some things. And Donald Trump interrupts a fellow elected official and said, a week is too long. And he says, these people, she said, we're taking action to get in, clear off the land. So you've got to use bulldozers. When you're on a side of a hill that's got toxic waste in it and chemicals from the spray and the firefighters. Got a lot of things going on. My point is inexperience shouts out. You can't expect, when Donald Trump says a week is too long, he said it 3 times, a week is too long. I say, Mr. President, what is your solution? Not just, if you can imagine, I was elected official once, we had a bad storm go through town. They wanted people to clean up. Let me finish. They wanted people to clean up all the limbs in the town in one weekend.
No, that's not what he said at all.
What
That's
he
not
said
what
was,
at all.
Oh, that's not true. Okay, what do you think he said? He
Well,
said 1 week is too long to clean all
hey,
this
I'm
up.
not nearly as smart as you,
That's
so
in this
I don't
area, you're
remember
not. That's
every
correct.
word that he said, right? But I believe what he was talking about was giving the people access. If you listen closely to what he was saying, he wasn't talking about getting it cleaned up in a week. He was saying we need to give the people access. And that was his point. I think it was lost in the context of the conversation because other people start talking about something else. And I think he kept saying, look, we need to give these people access. They need to be able to get in there tomorrow, right away, to start the cleanup process.
They want,
So
yeah, I heard that and I agree. That's what was
right.
said, no doubt. And I think I said that in my
He was talking
conversation.
about,
But you
well,
can't
no,
just
you
tell a
didn't.
guy to go get a dumpster and go into his land. What if the person gets hurt on their land?
He never said anything like that. He was
He did too.
saying,
He said dumpster. Let him bring a dumpster to their property.
let me finish, Dan, because
Oh, the
have
king of interruption says he wants to finish and doesn't like it when I interrupt him. I'm a little fired up on Sunday morning, Bob, because I don't like it when an elected official doesn't have experience in something and tries to act and play to the crowd. And he played to the crowd, and I don't like that.
well, I appreciate you don't like it. And I accept the fact that you have an opinion that you don't like it, right? But on the other hand, I also know that you're smart enough to know that people hear different things. And what I heard what he said was access issues, not cleanup. As far as getting a dumpster in there, I think his main point was, hey, these people lost their homes. They're prevented from going in, at least looking through the ashes, at least let them in to get started. That's what he was saying. Now,
I understand and agree with you. Now, let me ask you a question. Why were the people, all people, prevented from going into their neighborhoods? Why?
I don't know why.
The answer to that is there was looting going on, and people, if you just let people, hey, oh yeah, my house is down the street, here's my name, here's my address, so that I can go loot. So what should you do? Let somebody that says, well, I own a house, or let somebody says I own a house and they're really a looter. So in the initial stages, for a 10 days, people wanted their property protected so they didn't have stuff stolen. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have your house protected by law enforcement so you don't lose things looting, but yet want to go in. I understand, but you've got to understand there's got to be some level of people accepting the rule of the circumstance and the law. You can't just say, I can do whatever I want and I'll get emotional.
You are so smart. You know all the answers to all.
No, I don't know all the answers, but I do understand experience, and it really ticked me off when the president played to the crowd. And that's what he's good at. Remember, I said a lot of the good things he did, so I'm trying to be balanced. I said a lot of good things, and I have, as you talked about before he was elected, hope. But in this case, he messed up as a leader.
Really?
Yeah.
Whew. You really are fired up this morning. What's got you so fired up? What happened?
I like leadership that delivers solutions and that has a more winsome approach. I would rather have the president of whoever the president is. It doesn't matter who it is. I would rather have the governor go to a city if a city has problems, say, how can we help you, Mayor? I'm going to try to do all that I can within my budget and capabilities to do it. Why doesn't Donald Trump, he's empowering, why don't we give combat pay so that military personnel feel like they're not going doing something below their, what they should be doing? Why don't we send in the United States military because he always says he's going to empower things for certain things. Why don't we send them in for 30 days to do some real fast and pay them extra combat pay, because you're going to have to be paying out billions of dollars anyway. What's the solution? And the only solution I heard was, at least in what I heard 2 or 3 times watching it, was 1 week is too much and playing to the crowd. And they're clapping for Donald Trump because he's suggesting that a week is too long. A week is too long. That's what set me off. When you've got that kind of devastation, whether it's a fire, a hurricane, a week is too long. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And I'm ticked off. And you like it when I get ticked off, because I don't get ticked off. It takes a lot to get me ticked off. But for every elected official that's ever sat and tried to govern, when you have somebody that has no limited experience to play to the crowd, that ticks me off.
You just don't like Trump. You don't like his
I'm
style?
I'm
You
staying. I am doing my best. I don't like Donald Trump's behavior and the way that he plays to crowds. I don't think it's good for America because it
okay.
divides people. It divides the citizens that are impacted there against the city, against police officers, against fire department, against the governor. And I don't like anybody that tries to divide. If they want to offer solutions and say, let me articulate
You
how
need to
much.
get on Rachel Maddow's show because she's
No,
another one
hey,
taking things
every
so out of
week,
context.
why do, hey Bob, if you think I'm that way, why is Fox Radio News have me on their interviews? Because they think I am reasonable in my thoughts.
I don't know why. You tell me why. Why do they have you on?
Well, they believe I'm a great guest.
Do they?
Yeah.
And how much do you get paid for that?
You're funny. Hey, that's behind the curtain. How much you get paid for your for the last time you did a major expert witness
A
issue?
lot. A
A
lot.
lot. Okay.
$130,000.
I don't get paid. Then I'll just say I don't get paid enough for doing that.
Yeah. So my point is I understood that most of the stuff you do is for free and that you have some competition in it. But maybe they do like you. I don't disagree with that. If you come across well, you're a handsome guy. You speak to what you speak to issues. You don't have a lot of content and you do take things out of context. But then so does everybody else. So I don't object to that. If you
That's
want to
right.
pick something out of context, I think it's okay because everybody else does it.
Yeah, we're all coming from our own experiential scenarios and our feelings about humankind and how we treat one another and what are the facts as best we can
Well,
gather the
sure we
facts.
are. Sure we are, right? And we map that against what somebody else does, and then we make a conclusion, right? For me, I think that what Trump did was right. I think what he talked about was access. I don't know that he has any more solutions to things than anybody else, but the one thing I did think that I heard him say, which I think was right, he said, "We'll get the permits solved. There'll be no federal permits. We'll get those taken care of," right? Now I don't know exactly. I don't even know if he can do that, right? But
Exactly. He
I
doesn't
know that.
know. He doesn't have anything to do with local permits, Bob.
But let me finish my point, right? It actually does. And he's a developer. And I know people that build houses in California, and you need all kinds of permits. You need EPA permits, by the way. That's a federal permit, right? Particularly if you're in a toxic waste area or water. So you need federal permits and you need local permits to build on properties. And he's saying, let's try to get the permit process solved. That's
And
something I
and the
think he
bear had
can.
already said that previously in that press conference.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad somebody else said it. Then maybe Trump echoed it. But I do think he speaks toward a solution. But I think he doesn't do it in a way that you like or other people like because the way his style is. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if he criticizes people in a meeting, they deserve it. I mean, he's very direct. He doesn't have to worry about being reelected. He said, "Hey, if you guys are doing a bad job, I'm going to say you guys are doing a bad job." And by the way, I'm impressed with all your radio interviews, whether you get 50,000 for it or nothing. I'm impressed that they continue to call you. I think it fires you up. I think the more people call you and want your opinion, probably the more times you think your opinion is valuable, which maybe it is. But I watch Fox News and I watch MSNBC, and both of them take so many things out of context. It's just amazing.
Well, you're
I
absolutely
watch
right.
I watch Rachel Maddow because it's the greatest comedy show on the earth. This woman is dangerous. Now, she's smart, but she knows when she actually misleads
Oh
when
yes,
she's saying something,
she
right?
stirs people up just as Sean Hannity stirs
Does
people
it
up.
deliberately. Now, the other day when she was questioning her lawyer that she had on, she couldn't get her lawyer to quite admit what she wanted her lawyer to admit, which was that an NDA is the same as a non-disparaging agreement. And the lawyer wouldn't agree to it. And so pretty soon she just cut her off because she wanted her to say, "Oh, an NDA is a non-disparaging agreement." And they're not the same. But if it's a non-disparaging agreement, then Hegseth answered the question correctly. If it's an NDA, then he answered the question incorrectly. And that's what she wanted. And she had this lawyer on, breaking news, breaking news. And she tried to get this lawyer to say, "Well, isn't an NDA the same as a non-disparaging agreement?" The lawyer said, "No, it's not." But here's the irony. The next day, I heard a senator being interviewed on MSNBC, and that senator said it was a non-disclosure agreement. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Until we really get down to the details of what we're talking about, right? Above that, it's just one passion, another passion. It's like you throw a missile, I throw a missile, we all throw missiles, but nothing really happens, right?
That's right.
So,
We should be about solutions. What are the solutions? So,
well,
what's funny is, and what you were just speaking to, which again, one of the reasons I like to hang out with you, whether it's in front of, as Trump would say, millions, biggest audience ever, huge audience. I get a kick out of that. Never been anything like it before. Count this week how many times you hear Donald Trump say, it's never been anything like it before. Never, ever, never in history, anything like it before. But anyway, never been anything like Banter with Bob and Dan before. And be sure and like, subscribe, and follow. But one of the reasons I like hanging out with you is it always takes me a while to get to the point. Why? Because I live on ADD Avenue, right? Is that you said months ago about hope for Trump, and I have hope for Trump, even though I disagree sometimes with his behavior and words and his style. But you also talked about months ago confirmation bias, which I stole and used on the radio. So thank you, Bob, for making me sound better. But what you just said is true. Whether you listen to the 15% of the hard right or the hard left, both sides want to do everything they can to stir up controversy, while the 70% of America, which you are and I am, we want an America that moves forward with progress, a better economy, more united country, and just stronger in the world.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're starting to calm down. Did you take your blood pressure medicine this morning?
No, I took my B12. You think it's the vitamin B12?
Have you been on the radio this morning?
No. Tomorrow morning, 5:07 a.m. I'll be up at 6:07 in New York, and I'll be chatting on topics.
Well, I've said before, and I believe this, that if you keep at it, you'll eventually probably hit the big time, just like Kevin O'Leary did. I mean, I've known Kevin O'Leary for years. He was a guy that sold software out of his trunk. Now he's called Mr. Wonderful and offers $20 billion to buy TikTok.
Isn't that great? I mean, gosh, we got to try to get him on the show because he's a fascinating guy.
He is the best salesman in the world. And I played squash with him quite frequently when he moved back to Canada after you took advantage of most of the people in California, he then moved to California or moved back to Canada, and everything went perfectly for him. And I visited him many times up in Ontario. I wrote him a number of letters saying he should have given stock to some of the people that helped him in California, and he never ever replied. So, but he is the master of what I think you could become.
Yeah,
if you at it,
we have a little bit of differences, but as a compliment to you, I love watching Kevin O'Leary. You are kind of a combination of three guys. You got Kevin O'Leary, entrepreneur, outspoken. Bill O'Reilly always has some great ideas and is straightforward. And Donald Trump, very confident individual. You're kind of a mixture, and there's some other people in there too, but you got the qualities of those three men. But having said all this, and we're just fast paced, but so that I can calm down, right? So that I can calm down and feel better about life, and probably go to church and feel like, I need to pray, which I do, pray for our country, pray for President Trump, pray for California, a lot of things to pray for. Just out of the blue, mention a young man I met while refereeing. Man, it's going to give me a Dick Vermeil moment. Jack Punswick, Blue Valley West High School, has cancer. He's a swimmer. Got cut from the baseball team. I mean, talk about an inspiration. Got cut from the baseball team. Didn't quit in life. Says, I'm going to try out for swimming. Last year, he was a state champion in swimming. Then he found out he has cancer, a lymphoma cancer, and went through chemotherapy. Just finished chemotherapy in December, and now is in February, still swimming. I met him in the locker room because he had to dress in the little used locker room the referees use to keep away from germs because the chemotherapy, lowered his immune. He's going to defend in Kansas his state championship. Man, when you meet this young man, I put a post on Facebook. It was one of the most inspirational moments to me because the glow on his face, That's what we need more of. Is I can do this. I can do this in a positive way. We need a more positive, winsome America. Uh,
On that note, and this is a little bit of a kind of a change of subject here, but it's something you asked me about. We can actually have people go to our website, which is identimap.com, not our podcasting website,
yeah.
which is the software website where I promote and sell trait analysis software.
Yes.
They can go there, right, and sign up for what we call Trek 42. And they can, when they put in their name, they put in, let's say they put in their name, Jack Sherwood / Donald Trump or / Pelosi or / anybody they want, then they can take that as if and give us their view of the personality of that person. We'll see it and we'll report it. So if we get like 20 people that give us their traits on Pelosi, we can do that. Now, I'm not explaining this very well, so maybe you want to explain it better than I just did, Dan.
Yeah, no, this is huge. This is huge, folks. So you get an opportunity to have input that we'll share on Banter, where you go to Identimap. Is it identimap.com?
Identimap.com.
Okay, Identimap, which is IDENTI map, identimap.com. Right. And you put your name in, but then you also put a slash.
Oh,
Trump
no.
Slash Pelosi.
No. Let me explain.
Okay. We want to get it right.
Go to the website and you click on Trek 42. That's a survey.
Trek 42. Okay.
Trek. That's a 76 question survey about a person's personality. Now, so we'll know that you're not giving us your personality, but your opinion of, let's just say, Donald Trump's personality. You'll take the survey based on your opinion of him. So, for example, if one of the survey questions say arrogant, you might say yes, and you check that mark. Now, up in the title line, so we'll know it's Trump, you'll put in your name. Let's just say it's Jack Smith / Donald Trump. All right. Now, you don't actually have to put in Jack Smith, just put in Donald Trump. Now, you'll have to give us your email address. That's how we send you the results.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
Let's say we get 1,000 people that take it and put in Donald Trump in the name line, then we'll know we have 1,000 people's opinion of Donald Trump's personality.
Yeah, this would be a lot. This would be very informative, very
You can put
fun.
in anybody's name you want. You could put in Dan Snell's name or my name or Pelosi's name or Rachel Maddow's name. We don't really care whose name you put in, right? But we'll be able to accumulate them, aggregate them, and I might even throw a little artificial intelligence at them. We'll report it out here. All you have to do is go to the site and take Trek 42. Now, I think there's a charge. It's about $4.95. But if you want your opinion held, then hey, got to pay the price.
Yeah,
we're not a charity here. We don't go on the radio for free.
Yeah, and then they also could have their own personality analyzed for that same piece.
Then they just answer the question.
Do it at a different time. Yeah.
But I did one for somebody the other day. I had 2 sessions with this person, and he wanted me to give him my opinion of him. So I took the survey. I took it based on what I thought of him. So where the question asked me, was he a people person? I put, yes. I think he's a people person. So I answered the questions as if I were giving him my opinion of him. And then I shared it with him. And I said, is this kind of equal to your opinion of yourself? And he said, yes, that's exactly how I see myself. He was a very high encourager and a high assertive person, which is very uncommon. Right?
Yeah.
You have those together, right? And he was high in both. He does a lot of encouraging things. He reads for the blind people and all kinds of things. But the point is, you can take this survey as if you give us your opinion of whoever you want. Adam Schiff, we don't care. Mel Gibson, we don't care. Just put that person's name in the name line, and we'll report it out here. That's all I got.
Up above here, you see this here. You're going to see how to get a hold of identimap.com, and you'll be able to click through that. And folks, wow, we went after it, and keep following, liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends. Say, look at these 2 guys. Have they really been friends since 2006? And we agree to disagree.
But Dan, going back for a second, when you're doing your radio shows, that should be something you should say, look, Dan Snell, would like to do a personality analysis of Trump. I'd like to know what people think of Trump really. Take this survey. Give us your analysis. I'll report out.
Yeah, well, maybe we got to find a quick, the quickest link. We'll talk about that. That's a great idea, Bob. As always, that's why you're a serial entrepreneur, 3-time Silicon Valley board of directors guy.
Well,
And as I always say, and you always deny, but really, we wouldn't have color monitors without Bob Sherwood.
yeah.
Okay,
Probably
folks,
would.
like,
All right.
subscribe, follow Banter, tell your friends. Thanks for being with us.
Good luck, Dan. See you later.